was a lot of Kent Hovind's video about books, unquote. Debunk the first of that video. Even though that is given at the age of 22, became a in the in Hovind's started his creationism evangelism. On two different occasions, he evaded the same he has never answered. About 6 years ago, believers have deferred 6,000 years, but their is hopelessly flawed. The correction made at 4,004 on Wednesday, believe it or not, in the evening, around 1 o'clock. You can look it up. Like flood, 4,000 years ago, or 4 years ago. Or the great evidence for small localized floods that occurred over billions of years, saying that the meaning of a global flood. People live to be 900 years old. There is a great flood. Otherwise. Our dinosaurs still alive today. About 6 years ago, the extant birds which are descended from a dinosaur, but I don't believe the counting of birds. However, the same person, like presumably, believes the largest monster, the original monster was carried by elephants and to bathe the gypsies. Locals created a monster myth for tourists. Monster. Any textbook, he should go to a school board and get corrected instead of doing a church and give sermons. This is for someone who claims there's a lot of textbooks that he objects to. When he goes off, so it's true of creation. Believe in. Also, Rev Kent is a geological equation and has nothing to do with evolution. Therefore, evolution is a geology, not evolution. Rev Kent is claiming that a Christian has to be ignorant and uneducated regarding to be a Christian. They have a very understanding of how the universe is created. Those are ignorant of was derived from Aramis Darwin, and this is the center for the growth of otherwise. Personally, the corrected can be corrected by in the light, he just use that light. What he is integral to peak evolution. Charles did he did the all that he was correct. And the faith in the scripture is not needed. So in conclusion of the science, he is more ignorant about the subjects he pretends to speak about. And I may know that many of his lives are currently connected to space